On this day, in fact, at this very time, when George Floyd is being laid to rest in his hometown of Houston, Texas, I would like to invite you to join me in taking a moment now to honor his memory. And we send our prayers and blessings to his family and our world right now. In fact, I would urge you at some point today to take at least 8 minutes and 46 seconds to contemplate the magnitude of what's going on in our world right now and how you can be part of the solution. I feel like this is a time when we need to do a lot more than just pray quietly in the isolation of our churches or our places of worship. Those of us that really want to be allies and supporters to those who are Black and brown and Native and of any walk of life or race or creed that doesn't have the privilege of being white in our society, that this is a time when I think we need to do a lot more than just silently pray. And so I want to use a few minutes right now, maybe it'll be 8 minutes, to share some reflections on what's going on and also some suggestions on how we together can be part of the solution for the healing of our world. I saw recently in a newspaper article that a survey had been done or a poll, and they said that 80% of the people in our country feel like things are out of control. And I just thought, oh my gosh, I couldn't disagree more strongly. Things are not out of control. That this is what it looks like when we're going through a major period of evolution and emergence of a new world order. That it's that time that, the voice of the Lord spoke in the Bible when he said, behold, I am making all things new. And that doesn't mean just for 2,000 years ago that things are being continually made new now, as long as we allow it and we participate in it, that this is a time of great emergence. I shared on Sunday in my service the 4 stages of evolution or emergence, and I want to just briefly review them again. The first stage is a disruption of the status quo, that we've become too complacent and that things need to change. And that period of disruption and disturbance, it can feel pretty unsettling. I acknowledge that. It can be a period of feeling some disorientation, some grief for the old patterns, our old ways of being that are lost. And it's a time of creative destruction so that something new can emerge. And then as we go through that disintegration of the old, there's a period of innovation, of experimentation, trying new things. And we know that failure is part of that, and failure is a good thing. I love the story that Linda Martellowitz told about WD-40. That stands for a water displacement solvent, perfected on the 40th try. That every invention, many things that are created, there were many periods of trial and error before we found, the thing that worked. And so as we move through this, disturbance, disruption, innovation, trying some new things, what is a new way to provide safety and security and policing in our world? How do we support everyone to have, to feel safe and able to express their divine potential? So after we move through a period of innovation, then there is a new coherence that's found, a new way of being that works for a while until we're ready for that next wave of disturbance, disruption, innovation, and coherence. So we're in this liminal time now, and what do we do during this time when we may feel this disorientation? Well, here's a few things I'd like to suggest. And the first thing is education. Educate yourself. Learn about these ideas of periods of evolutionary change and upheaval. This is not the first time the world has experienced this. And we have many wonderful and great thinkers that are putting out some messages that are helping us to understand this. And some of those messages are going to be shared in our Monday evening series that is starting on June 29th called The Awakening. And we'll be learning from some of the great thinkers of our time like Greg Brayton, Marianne Williamson, and other people, and Jean Houston. And Lynn and Mary Beth are going to be a part of that, as well as Lonnie and Millie Gibbs. So educate yourself about the nature of evolutionary change and emergence, and then also learn about the issues of our time. Don't be afraid to learn about what we're learning about the criminal justice system. And what does that mean to dismantle a police department? Learn about the long history of racism in our country and the reason why those things are still greatly impacting the lives and the families and the communities of people that we all know and love and care about. And keep an open mind. Don't be fearful, but stay spiritually grounded. We're really blessed to be part of a spiritual movement, unity, that gives us some tools, some practices, and some wisdom to help us understand just the concept of divine order and knowing the Christ consciousness within each and every one of us are powerful tools to help us stay grounded in the midst of change. And then the last thing I want to suggest is be the first one. Be the first one to reach out to a stranger, to smile or say hello to someone who looks different from you on the street. Be the first one to start a conversation. I was actually at a local store a couple days ago, standing in line to get some food, and there was a gentleman who was different than myself that was a couple of people behind me, and he had a Pittsburgh Steelers mask on. And it was just an opportunity. I felt like to make a conversation, to smile and said, "Hey, are you a Steelers fan?" And he felt a little embarrassed. He said, "I know I'm in Bill's territory here." And I said, "Hey, that's okay. I'm from Detroit and I'm a Detroit Lions fan." And we immediately had a connection. And it just broke the ice. So be the first one to find something you have in common with someone who's different from you, to break the ice, to make a connection. Or be the first one just to send a loving thought or a blessing. Maybe somebody's having a hard day. A lot of people work in jobs in our society that are hard jobs. They're on their feet 8 hours a day. They're in in an area where they're doing customer service, where it's just kind of one thing after another, people coming at you. So have some compassion. Remember the things I shared last week, that you can look at anyone and say, just like me, this person is seeking to have some happiness in their life. Just like me, this person is trying to avoid suffering in their life. Just like me, this person has known sadness and loneliness and despair. Just like me, this person's doing the best they can to get their needs met. And just like me, this person is learning in life. And so be the first one to have that thought, to extend a smile or a conversation. And so on this day, I invite you, especially this day, to take at least 8 minutes and 46 seconds to reflect on how we can all be part of the solution for what's going on in our world. Martin Luther King said that the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. And in order for it to keep bending in that right direction, it needs all of us to participate in the emergence of this new consciousness that is coming forth. Thank you for joining me on this day. Blessings and namaste.